السلام عليكم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All praises are Allah's Lord of the worlds, and may His peace and blessings be upon our Master, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and his pure immaculate Ahlul Bayt. The theme was spiritual wayfaring, and we were discussing the first station, if we can call it that, and that was awakening. And we said awakening has three essential components to it in order for awakening to be fully realized. One was the attentiveness to the fact that we're drowned in Allah's blessings. The other was acquaintance with our spiritual crimes and that criminal nature within us. And third was being acquainted and being attentive to exactly in what our harm and gain lies. Each of these three, we said, has three effectors, three mechanisms of action, three protocols in order to achieve these three components. And with the attentiveness to being drowned in Allah's blessings, there we said aql, that rationality, awaiting and paying heed. Depending on the setting, these three were the mechanisms and protocols of action, and we discussed it in some detail. In relation to being acquainted with our spiritual crimes, there we had discussed two of the three effectors, and last night that was acknowledging fully the all-exaltedness, the almightiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we annex that and combine it with the second effector, which was appreciating and wholeheartedly acknowledging the nothingness of the self. And we said these two together, the more deeper these two are executed, the more we will have access to that, the nature of our actions actually qualifying as crimes. Otherwise, even when we sin, minor or major sins, we don't take heed as we should do. Tonight, and inshallah we'll try to finish this station if time permits, I want to read words of mourning and bereavement for the last 10-15 minutes. Here, the third effector, in relation to the second component, which was that acquaintance with our spiritual crimes, is confirming and acknowledging the reality of punishment. This is something important. How do we see punishment? The Urafa see it in a particular way. This has to be confirmed. This has to be wholeheartedly acknowledged by one. One has to believe, have full conviction in relation to it. One has to regard and deem hell as a reality that exists right now, rather than thinking it's symbolic or figurative, just to scare people. Rather than thinking hell is something conventional or arbitrary. No, these have implications if we believe in it. Hell is right now. Action to action, we're constructing our hell right now. One of the major differences of approach and method between the Urafa and the theologians is that the Urafa, in every article of faith, they explain it in a way that you have access to it right now. Messianism, right now you can see him. Raj'at, right now there can be a Raj'at. Hell, heaven, right now it's happening. Barzakh, right now it's happening. The Sirat is right now, it's here. Everything is now, rather than the theological approach. Heaven and hell, one day in the future. Barzakh, one day it will happen. Sirat, one day after physical death. Raj'at, one day. Messianism, one day it will happen. It's as if they're putting religion on credit. It's an important difference. They're both right, but the degrees differ. They're both right. One is confining religion though, one is not. One doesn't allow you to confine religion, moment to moment. Conventional, arbitrary punishments are what we see in this world, under secular law. Speeding, you speed, you'll be given a fine. You do something wrong at the workplace, they'll cut off your wages. But there's no causal association, there's no cause and effect relationship between speeding and fining. It's man-made, it's conventional, it's an arbitrary form of punishment. They've come to this to say, let's fine them. There's no natural cause and effect relationship between you speeding and you being given a fine. Hell isn't like that. That's something conventional. In conventional punishments, it's possible for the policeman, for example, to forgive you and not give the fine. It's possible. But in hell, forgiveness isn't possible. I'll explain that in a minute. You have to undergo certain punishments. It's called a takwini punishment, a providential, natural punishment, which is based on cause and effect. That's the hell we want to believe in. Otherwise, if it was a conventional, arbitrary punishment, and you're taken to a red monster, and then the red monster's told to whip you and burn you with a fire and a whip which is external to you, then you say, why? And they say, because you did this sin or that sin. So why are you punishing me though? And they say, otherwise you won't be able to go to heaven. You have to burn a bit, you have to be hit a bit. They'll say, okay, I don't want to go to heaven. Just stop I don't want this punishment though. You see? And the next question is, why would Allah want to punish you in this manner? Why would Allah want to assign a red monster to burn you with a physical fire external to you, to whip you with a physical whip external to you? Why would even Allah want to punish you? You didn't do salat and Allah punishes you for not doing salat? Is that the Allah we want to teach our children? Does Allah want to, release His anger towards us? See, these don't apply in relation to Allah. Is it to be used as a deterrent so other people don't do it, or is it to be used as a form of education? These things are all under secular law. They don't apply to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a causal relationship between our actions and the punishment. In the conventional system of punishment, speeding is a different reality to the fine. It's two different realities. But in the takwini, providential nature of punishment, the action and the punishment is one reality. They're the same reality. They just manifest in different realms of existences. Ad-dunya mazra'atul akhirah. The world is the hereafter's farmyard. You reap what you sow. You're the farmer, the I. You're the farm, the soul. Remember, my soul. You're the farmer. You're the farm. You're the seeds, the actions. And you're the harvest. What those actions will turn out to be. When you act, these actions will be incorporated within you. They'll be in unity with the soul. You are your actions. Remember the story of Nabi Nuh, his son? He said, إِنَّهُ عَمَلٌ غَيْرُ صَالِحٍ. And we're saying he is non-righteous actions. We are our actions. these actions that we do in this realm, they become embodied in the farm, harvested in the farm. They become incorporated in the soul, and as a result, become in unity with the soul, and you are those actions now. Now, how will it become incorporated within a dimension of the soul? Depends on the action. All depends on the action. We'll come to a few examples. But that physical action in this world, and that celestial manifestation and embodiment of that action in the hereafter, which you've incorporated in your soul, it's one reality. They're not two different realities. It's a cause and effect relationship. It's not a conventional form. And here then, shafa'a, intercession, begins to have meaning. Because shafa'a, the way 99% of the Manbaris explain it, it's not my words, Imam Khomeini is saying it. Most of the Manbaris, the way they explain shafa'a, they base it on a conventional form of intercession. They look at it as a conventional form of punishment. Shafa'a, the truth, is something else. It's much more deeper. It's not as easy as we all think. So we are our actions, inseparable from them. Chapter 3, verse 31. يَوْمَ تَجِدُ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا عَمِلَتْ مِنْ خَيْرٍ مُحْضَرًا. The day that every soul will perceive the good it has done present before it. Muhdara, it's a huzuri knowledge. It's an intuitional form of knowledge. Like the knowledge you have of your toothache. That presence of the toothache before you. The presence of happiness before you. All the good that you have done, it will be before you in that sense. وَمَا عَمِلَتْ مِنْ سُوءٍ, concerning the bad that you have done, تَوَدُّ, you'd wish, the nafs would wish, لَوْ أَنَّ, if only, بَيْنَهَا وَبَيْنَهُ, if only between the soul and it, the bad action, the evil action, أَمَدًا بَعِيدًا, there was a far distance, if only. In Arabic, low, the particle low, has 5 different meanings. One is called the impossible low, if only, because it can't happen. It's impossible for there to be a far distance between you and your actions. Look at the delicate point here. You would say, if only there was a far distance. It's the impossible form of if only, because you can't, because you are your actions. How can there be a far distance between you and your actions? Other verses which explain this, chapter 36, verse 54, فَالْيَوْمَ, today, لَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا, no soul will be wronged. In what way? وَلَا تُجْزَوْنَ, and you won't be recompensed إِلَّا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ, save with that which you've done. Recompensation, the reward in the hereafter, or the punishment in the hereafter, is but what you did, your actions. Actions equal recompensation. But actions in this world has one manifestation which we see, the sajda, the ruku, the shouting, the salat. Those very actions, when in unity with the soul, after ingrainment, incorporation, in the metaphysical realms, it takes a different form. It's all embodiment of actions. The hereafter is but embodiment of your actions. Moment to moment, day to day, you're building your own heaven or hell. Okay. Another verse, chapter 18, verse 49. وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا, and and they'll perceive what they did حاضر, present before them. That huzuri knowledge again. وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا, and your Lord won't wrong anyone. He won't wrong anyone. Because heaven and hell is a product of your actions. Don't blame anyone else. You are the director. You're building your hell moment to moment. Yes, Allah doesn't need to punish. It's nothing to do with Allah. He won't punish you. He won't punish you if you don't do salat, if you drink alcohol. It's not that you've done him wrong and he wants to punish you. You're punishing yourself. You're a human being with a lofty potential. You're poisoning yourself. It's all in your hands. Don't blame Allah. And don't wait for an external janitor, external to you with red horns or something. No, it's all within. It's a different manifestation in the other realms. It's all metaphysical. It's all the soul opening up, embodying those actions that it incorporated. Your actions are the fuel to your hereafter. It all depends how you acted. Chapter 10, verse 44. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَظْلِمُ النَّاسِ شَيْئًا. Verily, Allah doesn't wrong any person at all. Allah doesn't wrong anyone. وَلَكِنَّ النَّاسَ, rather it's the people. أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ, they wrong their own selves. Chapter 664. وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. No bearer of burdens will bear the burdens of others. It's all you and your actions. Your heaven, your hell, your hereafter is a product of your actions, what you've incorporated within you. You won't bear the burdens of anyone else. It's impossible. What did you do? How did you believe? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ, chapter 4, verse 10. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا, those who consume the property of orphans wrongfully, إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا, they're consuming fire in their stomachs. The outside action is that sin of consuming the property of orphans wrongfully. As they're doing it, they're receiving fire. But since they're absorbed in the physical realm, they don't feel that yet. After physical death, everything becomes manifest. But as you act, it's all happening, the hereafter, right now, right here. During the Mi'raj of the Holy Prophet, when he saw the angels building all these palaces, they weren't physical palaces. It was during the Mi'raj of the Holy Messenger. He was going through the heavens. Then they stopped building the palaces. He asked, what's all this about? He said, these are the actions of the believers. Then the Holy Prophet said, what's the stuff? What are the materials you use? The angel said, their actions are our materials to build these palaces. You see, recompensation and actions, one reality, just manifest differently. Once Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, on returning from a battle with his companions, he suddenly saw a skull. He told his companions to bring the skull. Then he said to the skull, who are you? Then the companions are now hearing a voice. It wasn't a physical voice. The skull wasn't speaking with its mouth, it was just a piece of bone. But they all heard a voice. I am so-and-so, one of the kings of Persia. To get to where I got, I had to kill so many people, do so many actions, all bad. And right now, I'm being bitten by scorpions and this and that, moment to moment in hell. It's all happening right now. The physical head is in the hands of Amir al-Mu'mineen. It's a different realm. Embodiment of one's actions. In another tradition they speak of one of the earlier prophets. There were no dreams at that time, according to this tradition. People wouldn't dream. And then when the Prophet was explaining the truths of heaven and hell, they wouldn't accept. And then dreams came as a gift from Allah for people to understand heaven and hell, to understand the hereafter. Dreams are important. Then they started dreaming. They came to the Prophet of the time. He said, this is what heaven and hell is all about. See, the quality of dreams, it's a metaphysical reality. There's no physical matter in our dreams. Have you ever dreamt, for example, of a wolf attacking you in your dream? You wake up. Then there'll be no waking up. The wolf will bite. It will be painful. But the wolf is you. The wolf was one of your actions. Dreams are a good guide. Okay, some of them are messed up sometimes, but they can be a good guide. Do you see a dog in your dreams barking? The dog is you. Which action you know? Mice, are you stealing things? Snakes, are you injuring others? Are you biting others? All these different animals. The animal is you. Okay, phenotypically you look like a human being, but the truth of what you are is an animal. And you'll be in unity with those animals in the hereafter. That's the pressure of the grave, not a physical pressure. Be rest assured, you open every grave, there'll be no scorpions, no wolves, there's nothing to do with the physical realm. In a poem by Rumi, he says, when man sows one's sajda and ruku, they become in the hereafter heaven. Sajda is heaven. Sajda is heaven. One reality. In this realm, it's a sajda with a particular form and shape. That becomes incorporated within you. It will be embodied as heaven. You do sajda truthfully and become earthly. Becoming earthly, then flowers, vegetation, gardens will grow, all within you. There's a link between the recompensation and the action. There's a relationship. But sajda is the external form. Make it celestial, it becomes heaven. Heaven is a celestial form. Make it earthly, worldly, it's the sajda, one reality. Depends on the realm of existence you want to look at it. It varies, manifests differently. Like water manifesting, for example, differently in different climates. Some people may manifest as stone. This is quite a long tradition. We may be limited for time. I'll miss it maybe tomorrow. But it's an important tradition. Then Rumi continues, as the praises of Allah have exited his mouth, the Lord of daybreak created heavenly birds. You want to have heavenly birds in the hereafter? It's the praises that you utter, one reality, manifest differently. Since sacrifice and zakat grew from his hands, this hand over there, in the other realm, became date palms and vegetation. The water of your patience in this realm become the eternal rivers of water. You be patient, those eternal rivers of water in the Quran is the embodiment of patience here. As for the rivers of milk, that was your compassion and sympathy. You be compassionate. The rivers of milk, it's an embodiment of this action. Your worship's taste become the rivers of honey. Your intoxication and ecstasy become the rivers of wine. See, all embodiment of actions. And this is important to take in mind in order to enhance that acquaintance with spiritual crimes, which was the second component. Okay, the third component and final component of awakening, which just has to be realized, is being attentive to what has happened in the past with respect to one's sins and worship. If you want to wake up, you must go back, irrespective of how many years. You have to scrutinize your good and bad deeds. You have to see how much benefit or loss, how much worship or sins has been carried out. However, and after that, however many X moments you were with Allah, recalling Allah, that's your current harvest. That's your current harvest. This has to be understood. You have to quiver, shake a bit. So it must be ascertained how much one has benefited all these years, or how much loss one has resulted. Now this also has three effectors. One is acquiring knowledge, because without this knowledge you can't evaluate your past. You can't see if your spiritual status or honor is increased or decreased. You don't know how much you've been drowned in haqq, in truth, or batil, or falsehood. You need knowledge to evaluate yourself. You have to get a true picture of what you've done, where you are right now. The second effector, after acquiring this knowledge, now you know how much you've benefited or how much you've wasted yourself. You know what you have to do. You know where to look for your gains. You know how to avoid harm. As a result of that knowledge, now with seriousness and with true sanctity, you have to act. Not acting now will lead you to be veiled. You'll never wake up now. You have to act now. The will has to be there. How can you tell if you've started acting, true acting, based on the knowledge one has? The fruit is humility. Now your friends around you may notice that humility earlier and say, oh, you've become very humble. It's a good sign, but don't be complacent. But once your family, your near ones say that, it's working now. It's difficult to have that humility, especially with your near ones. You have to evaluate yourself. Are you acting based on the knowledge you've acquired? The standard is humility. The more you act based on knowledge, the more subservient, the more humble you become. Otherwise it's all knowledge, no humility, you'll just remain veiled. And we discussed istidraj before. And the third effector is to assemble with the scholars, with the travelers to Allah. Socialize with them, be with them. Today there's no excuse. You all have access to scholars, especially here in London. And for those who don't, through email now, everyone is readily available. In the dua of Abu Hamza al-Thumali that we usually read in the month of Ramadan, in the middle of the dua it gives around 10 causes for one's spiritual degradation. Why one has fallen all of a sudden. One of the students, a very well-known scholar, who was Allama Tabatawi's student, said one of them, though, is the cause to all the others. These are secrets which are passed down from chest to chest over the generations. Make use of it. One of those is the root to all the others. And he said it's not assembling, not being in contact with the scholars. It's the scholar's duty to help. At least with the Sharia, that's the minimum a scholar has to do. Now, some of you may have more complicated questions in the realm of ethics, history, irfan, philosophy, tafsir. The scholar may or may not be able to help, but in the Sharia, that's an essential component to being a talaba, a seminary student. Although I don't want to limit scholars to seminary students. You can be a scholar and not wear the clothing. But there's no excuse. Be in touch with the scholars. Never let that go. And in the dua, وَلَعَلَّكَ فَقَدْتَنِي مِنْ مَجَالِسِ الْعُلَمَاءِ خَذَلْتَنِي. Maybe you observe me not going or lacking going to the majalis, the assemblies of the ulama, being with them, and so you debased me. You put me down as a result of your own actions, though. Standing aloof will have these problems. You have to be with the scholars. And one of the companions of the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by the name of Lubayd ibn Rabi'a, he has a famous maxim attributed to him saying, Al-mar'u yuslihuhu al-qarinu salih. A righteous companion makes one righteous. And so that contact with the righteous is important in relation to this third component. Okay, that was station 1. There's just the final point I want to end with station 1, and I'll do that inshallah tomorrow. Okay, now let's read a few words of Musibah.